So I know that inflation is a topic that you've all seen in introductory finance or your own discussions of macroeconomics, just reading the newspapers. So I won't belabor the point, but there are a few really interesting aspects about inflation that I want to make sure we cover, particularly as it pertains to biomedicine. So the basic example of inflation is the Big Mac. A Big Mac last year cost $5. This year, if the price goes up to $5.10 or a 2% growth, obviously those of you who consume a lot of Big Macs are slightly worse off. For example, if you happen to have wealth of $100 last year, that means last year you could purchase 20 Big Macs, but not so much this year. This year, you might actually be able to purchase more or less depending on how your wealth is increased, but relative to the price of Big Macs. So let's suppose, just for sake of argument, that you happen to invest your $100 last year and it earned 7.1% rate of return. So now at the end of the year, you actually can afford 21 Big Macs. Your real wealth has increased not by 7.1%, but as measured by Big Macs, your real wealth has only gone up by 5%, as measured by Big Mac's real wealth. I know that that's not how you necessarily measure your wealth, but if you happen to enjoy consuming Big Macs, this is one way of capturing whether you are better or worse off over the course of the year. And so the way that we can actually calculate this formally is 1.071, which is your nominal rate of return of your wealth, divided by the rate of increase in the thing you like to consume. Big Macs, 1.02 minus 1 is going to be approximately equal to what your real wealth has gone up by, 5%. All right? So, by the way, this is not totally frivolous. It turns out that The Economist magazine happens to use Big Macs to measure people's various different performances across countries and over time. And so you can actually see that Big Macs have increased faster than the CPI, as well as looking at differences in the cost of Big Macs across countries, so you can get a sense of how currency movements have changed people's wealth. Now, you might like Big Macs. I won't argue about that, but I can tell you that from my perspective, I don't consume that. I used to enjoy it, but then I decided that I needed to eat a little bit healthier. So I don't eat Big Macs as much anymore, but I do consume certain things whose prices have changed dramatically. And so let me tell you about that. I feel remarkably wealthy these days, partly because what I consume most, what I really enjoy, it's a bit of a guilty pleasure. I'm into all sorts of gadgets, particularly computer related. For both my kids, when they were teenagers, I built personal computers from scratch with them, ordered the motherboard, the memory, the hard drives, all the cabling, the shell. I mean, it was a lot of fun. And I really, ever since I was a kid, I liked tinkering. And so I've discovered that the cost of that part of my hobbies have actually come down dramatically. I still remember the day when I ordered my first IBM personal computer. I think it was called the IBM AT. I think the AT stood for, I don't know what, maybe advanced technology or something. It had a whopping 640 kilobytes of memory and a floppy drive, which gave you 1.2 megabytes of memory. And so I got a whole stack of floppies, 5.25-inch floppy drives. I put that computer together myself. By put it together, what it means is I unpack the box and put the chips into the motherboard. That was it, and it was just wonderful. I had a fantastic time. I paid $10,000 at the time for an IBM AT, and the extra upgraded memory to get me to 640K cost me an additional $1,000 for 640K. What I hold in my hand is a memory stick that has 8 gigabytes. And I bought this for, I think, 10 bucks. So I am dramatically richer than I used to be. I feel wealthy when I go to Micro Center because I remember what I used to pay for these things, and I'm getting them now at a much cheaper price. In fact, if you look at memory, you can see that the cost has gone down dramatically. This is the price per megabyte of hard disk memory. I'm not even talking about solid state drives. It's just hard disks have become incredibly efficient and cheap. So I feel wealthier because that was a significant component of my consumption basket. On the other hand, a friend of mine who's in the hedge fund industry, amazingly, I don't know how much he's worth, but I would guess that it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of between 500 to 750 million. That's what I think he's worth. And he still deigns to talk to me, I guess because I'm a finance professor, so I still have some connection to his world. But every once in a while, when we get out to dinner, he complains to me that he feels really poor. This is somebody that has his own plane. He actually has several planes and a yacht and several homes. He feels poor. And I ask him, seriously? Why? Why are you complaining? What are you complaining about? It turns out that he's a very serious art collector. And the prices of particularly modern art, particularly the artists that he favors, has gone up by an order of magnitude over the course of the last 5 years. And by an order of magnitude, I'm talking about $10 million a painting to now $100 million a painting. $100 million for one painting. So you can see that he can now only afford 5 paintings as opposed to 50. He feels poorer. He's worse off. So inflation affects people in different ways. And as a result, we need to figure out, first and foremost, what do people want before we can actually measure, are they better or worse off? And what they want is what they're consuming. What's your consumption basket? So the way that we measure inflation formally is to start off by saying WT is your nominal wealth. That's the number of dollar bills you have in your account. And C sub T is the price of the basket of goods and services that you like to consume. In my case, one piece of C sub T are computer parts, hardware. And so I'm really better off in that domain. My friend, the hedge fund manager, who consumes modern art, he's much worse off because he's consuming things that have gotten a lot more expensive. So if this is the price index of what you like to consume, then the real wealth, the real amount of money you have in units of things that you like to buy is going to be given by your nominal wealth divided by the cost of your consumption bundle, your basket of goods, right? That's your real wealth, W tilde. So now if I ask the question, how has your real wealth changed? It depends on 2 things. It depends upon your investments, your nominal wealth, but it also depends upon the prices of the things you like to buy. And so not surprisingly, when we do the math and calculate the rate of return on your real wealth, it's actually going to be given by the rate of return on your nominal wealth divided by how quickly your consumption bundle is going up. By the way, there's a typo I noticed here. This should be C of T plus 1 divided by C of T. I apologize for that.